we were talking about crossing the street and everything.
Yeah, go ahead.
Ryan Garcia and Tank.
Yeah.
You know, while we wait for Derek to join the call. That's a case of young fighters doing what you're telling them to do.
Yep.
Controlling your career.
Yep.
Going out there and saying, I want this fight and nothing else.
Yeah.
And a promoter going, well, I got to make money.
Yeah.
And then you forcing the issue there.
I think the I don't know, the makeup of a fighter is starting to change. We're seeing a lot of young fighters take those steps to championship title contention much sooner. And then you got a guy in Ryan Garcia who says, I have my path. I understand you are my promoter and you have my path for me, but I have my path as well. And I'm going to veer off right here and go the way that I need to go for myself, for my life, for my career. And I really do appreciate that, because I think that the fight got made. I'm not going to say the fight got made, but I think the birth of this conversation is because you had one fighter say, hey, that's who I want. I can beat him. Give him to me. And then you got another fighter saying, well, let's go. You can't beat me. But I think if the birth of that conversation started with Ryan Garcia looking at Tank Davis saying, I want you, I can beat you.
Yeah, definitely. I think we're seeing the evolution and next phase of boxing, especially for these young fighters. It's where fighters come in at 17, 18, 19. They get these fan bases earlier than maybe someone who was slowly pushed through the ranks. Even people, big names like De La Hoya and Floyd, when their careers took 20, 25 fights, these fighters come in with a fan base that is beyond that at 17, 18, 19. So they make a lot of money between 21 and 25 now.
Exactly.
To the point where by the time they're 25, 26, like we see with Gervonta, like we see with Devin Haney, like we even see now the leverage that a Ryan Garcia has.
Yeah.
Teofimo flexed that power, ended up in a purse bid that ended up going to Triller and then DAZN.
That was crazy.
But at 24, 25, 26, they're saying, I can almost promote myself. And a lot of them are promoting themselves, and they have more power sooner. Yep. Floyd had to be 30 to get that power.
Exactly.
De La Hoya left Top Rank at like 31. Like, we're just seeing that evolution happen at 25, 26. Yeah. So it's like they're taking control of their careers because they're making money earlier. And they're stars earlier.
I think boxing kind of defeated its own purpose. You know, I've been saying for a long time now, fighters in this prime between, what's my numbers? Between 33 and 35. In this prime between 33 and 36, 37. That's what I truly believe. But if for so long, y'all been seeing the fighters in this prime when he's 30, why are y'all waiting until a fighter is 30 to get that championship title? You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think it's better to get these fighters those big opportunities much sooner. You know, and that's a whole nother conversation, because now we're talking about the longevity of a fighter's career. We're talking about the longevity of a fighter's life. Yep. Every fighter is not meant to take punches over and over and over. Some don't stand up as long as others. You look at Terrence Crawford at 35 now. He's in relatively good shape. Yep. Hasn't taken a big pounding. But take a look at somebody like myself. I didn't take a big pounding, but my style was work all night long. Yep. So at 35, I'm like, yo, I'm tired. I'm hurting. I'm done. But if you had got me those big fights at 30 years old, I might still be in some big fights at 32, 33, 34, 35.
Yeah. And now imagine, Ryan's 24.
Yeah.
So it's one of those where you look at it and you say, all these kids say I'm gonna retire by 28. Like, you're not leaving by 20. That's not the case. Yeah. This is your career.
And disclaimer, I know I've said this on my podcast before, but my dad, when we were turning pro, my dad said, you're retiring when you're 30. And that was our deal, that I was going to retire when I was 30. But you don't know the game when you first turn pro. You don't know how long it's going to take. You don't know how much money you're not going to make so early on, you know? So, but yeah, go ahead.
So you look at that, and then now the realistic age for this is 34, 35, if you want to get out. If you're a great style like Shakur or Devin, maybe you can push it to Floyd levels where you're 37, 38, 39.
Right.
But pretty much that mid-30s is that area. So if you're taking these big fights now, then you're like, okay, I can make money from 24 to 35 in these big fights, instead of taking and working my way up slowly and taking this guy and then 1 inch and 1 inch. they know they're talented.
Yeah.
They're like, I can beat this championship fighter.
Yeah.
So if I'm gonna beat him at 24
Yeah.
instead of 29,
Yeah.
that's an extra 5 years earning potential.
Yeah.
Because the worst kept secret is that, like, well, if you fight, a fighter, it's gonna be worse on your body than fighting D level fighter.
Yeah.
Everyone punches.
Yeah.
Every single hit to the head matters.
Yeah.
So why am I wasting hits to the head against someone who is 8-24 instead of fighting someone who potentially I could beat, become a bigger star, and if not, just make a lot more money?
I hear you, Rev Cal.
So it's like they're telling these kids to fight like nobody's like, no, if somebody's gonna hit me in the head, it's gonna be someone who I can make $6 million against.
Yeah.
Because if I'm Ryan Garcia, I'd rather get punched by Tank right now for $6 mil, $8 mil, than you telling me I'm not ready and then fight for $2 mil against Jojo Diaz.
I wanted Ryan to get a quote unquote tune-up fight. The Javier Fortuna fight happened like last year around summer, early summer, late spring. Excuse me. I wanted him to get another fight for two reasons. Number one, get that engine revved up again. But beyond that, look at what Tank just did. Tank just made another announcement that I'm ready for Ryan Garcia. Ryan, I felt needed to get that reintroduction to who I am before his fight with Tank.
I'm on the opposite end of that. I think Ryan played it perfectly well. And that's only because Tank is at a weight where he's comfortable. He's now fighting and his body is relatively going to be in that same point.
Yeah.
He could take that fight.
Yeah.
For Ryan was ready to go to 140.
Yeah.
And if not, catch weights a little bit above 140.
Yeah.
If it's not for a title.
Yeah.
His body was big.
Yeah.
So now if he would have took a fight at 140 in January, then you rev up, you got to eat again, fuel your body, get back into camp, and then weight cut again.
Yeah.
This time he's just been cutting weight incrementally for months.
Well, I mean, you hope.
He stepped on the scale. I think he posted on social yesterday. It was 145 pounds.
Okay. Yeah,
So,
that's great.
Yeah, amazing. When you're fighting at 136.
Yeah, absolutely.
145.
Absolutely.
But he has all these months, not only to get healthy, but to make sure his body isn't going up and down. Because no matter for what camp, whatever camp, you're cutting, you're rehydrating, you're peaking, you're resting, you're going back into it. He didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
He comes in and he's had 6 months to make a weight and get like, all right, you know what? I got to make one more weight cut instead of 2. Because believe it or not, the kid's still probably cutting to 140. So it's like, it may not be a drastic cut, but it would have been 2 cuts. And he's like, no, you know what? Now I just got to do 1 cut.
Yeah.
And whatever he says, Tank draining him, he's not going to be drained that much.
Yeah.